We're ready when you are.
Hello, Lori dear. We are here with you now, Xanadu and the Four Collectives, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Council of Nine, and the Council of Light. We are very excited to be here with you today, to be here with you and Lucas in creating this new video. We feel that there's much we have to say today, and we are looking forward to expressing what we would like to share with all of you. Today's topic, if we could say, is about channeling, and we would like to speak about how to begin to channel, or what it's like to begin to channel. We know that we have spoken about this in a previous video, though this will take on a different slant. So this will be different from the previous videos that talk about channeling. We would like to give a little more space to help those who are in the process of working with us, of spending time with us in quiet or in meditation, to begin the process from our side of things, which is technological, which is beginning to form this channel that will connect us in a way that you can begin to hear us telepathically, and we can speak to each other back and forth telepathically, as well as you can channel out loud in what you're hearing telepathically. It's one and the same. Telepathically speaking would be more or less, it's understood as being heard inside of your mind or your head. And the channeling is more or less understood as vocalizing what is coming through you. So either way, however you want to use it, we would like to begin by offering a small story from Lori dear. And she does not know yet what we are going to ask her to do, so it's always fun to ask her in the moment. Lori would like you to, if you would like to speak about your experiences when you were beginning to channel and how it was on that first day when you began to channel. Yes, I think we talked about this in a previous video, so I'm trying to think of something that I haven't talked about. And they're just saying, go ahead, just start speaking about it. So it was a surprise when it happened. I didn't know exactly when it was going to happen. I had an intuitive feeling. And when it did, it came through that I was in a dream state, and then I came through into channeling. And I asked them to wait a minute while I went and found a recorder on my phone and went into a different room. It was early in the morning, which was not usual for me. Which is a sign that that really was not me. I would not wake up at 6 in the morning to start talking. So, and then it came out really smoothly. It wasn't hard for me to hear the information. It wasn't hard for me to hear it, and I just was speaking it. That first day was the easiest, I think. In a lot of ways, because I had no doubts, I was just super excited. So my energy was super happy and excited, and I think that probably helped the whole situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a little recap. Great, Lori dear, we are thankful for that. And we know you have talked about it before, but this is a video where some may not have seen that video, so we wanted to begin there with your experience and how that was. We would also like to hear from Lucas, as it may be a surprise to him, but and to all of you. Lucas has been someone that we have been working with, who asked us to work with him to build the conscious channel that we are all in the midst of building and creating and spreading the word that it is available. So Lucas asked us if he could begin to channel when we began to create these videos. So that was a good number of months ago. And Lucas, what is it? How many months ago was it?
When we first started the videos?
Was it June? June? Early June? And it's what?
Yeah.
October 1st. Is it October 1st today?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know how many months that is. Is that 3 or 4? 4? Something like that, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So they want you to talk about your experience
Right.
and how that was for you.
I can definitely share. This was kind of surprising, actually, because it was probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago
I think it was more like
it
3.
was maybe it was like a week before our last video, and we were just talking at night. It was kind of late at night, and I was kind of I was actually wanting you to ask a question to your guides,
Uh-huh.
and you were kind of tired. You didn't really want to. You didn't really want to get into it at the time, and I kept on asking you this question, but every time I did, I was actually like hearing an answer, like internally, like in my brain. It wasn't like a voice, but I felt I was getting an answer, like, and it happened like 3 or 4 times. I was just like, wait, babes, I think I know the answer to the question I'm asking you. And so I said what I heard, and you were just like, yeah, that's exactly right. and so then you asked like, hey, ask some more questions, and we just asked so many questions, and it was actually interesting because well, we asked all about who the guides were, and it turns out that there was 3 collectives. I think it is Pleiadians, Arcturians, and some Lyrans. And there's a small amount of overlap. And I can't remember if it was the Pleiadian or the Arcturian group, but 3 of the beings are also within your, Lori's collectives. So the small amount of overlap, which we kind of somehow found helpful or comforting, at least we kind of felt like we were on the same page with information that we were going to get. Yeah. So that was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
And but it was I guess my experience is that they didn't really necessarily initiate the conversation until I started asking questions.
Mm-hmm. And listening.
And listening. Yeah. And actually kind of trusting that answer.
Yeah.
And
so it's interesting because I have a slightly different memory of your experience.
Sure.
Which is interesting because I remember you were asking me something you wanted me to ask the collectives, and I was tired, and I've said this to you before, like I said they can hear you instead of me having to ask them, because like sometimes Lucas would go, Lori, can you ask him blah, 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 and then he'd expect me to say blah, 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 and I said, well, they can hear you. So, and then I said, and something in me was just like, listen, and maybe you can hear, like, listen. Listen. And then what had happened is you had heard something, but then you said to me, I already heard it before you said listen, Lori, but I didn't trust it. I wasn't sure about it. And so I was like, oh, what'd they say? And then you said what they said. I was like, oh yeah, that totally sounds, like something they would say. And then we started asking more questions. So that's how I remember it. Yeah. Is that?
No, I think that is pretty accurate. Yeah.
So you heard it before I said to you, like, listen.
Oh, yeah.
You heard it before, but you weren't necessarily trusting it.
I wasn't really trusting it. Yeah.
Right.
I wasn't really paying attention. And yeah. And maybe the only thing I would say is that when I start asking my guides different questions, they seem to answer in like maybe different sets of details than I think when you get responses. Like they might be somewhat more analytical maybe or something, like different types of like knowledge or information, which doesn't seem to come through you as much, which is kind of interesting. And they said that was basically based off of the different I guess channelers and kind of the way that everybody's brains are different, and we're all going to have different experiences.
Yes.
That's interesting.
We could talk about this for like 20 minutes, but it's but it's true that since you brought it up, I really like talking to your collective, so it's really nice for me not to have to work in a way, like not what I mean work is, when you listen, you need to be quiet and kind of listen. It takes work to like focus. Is that a fair term? And so if I ask a question and it's an emotional question for me, it's a question that is meaningful to me, I can ask you and you won't have that same emotion.
Right.
And then that's like awesome for me. I'm like super, super relieved and excited that I have the opportunity to get the information through your guides. And they are much more analytical than sounding than mine are. And they did say that was why, because we're different people. And I think when they said about me, they said that my brain is wired more in the creative and expressive spheres, and yours are more in the analytical, which is Really helpful from my perspective to have yours be different. You know?
And it's kind of true to our personalities and our overall lives.
Who we are.
Yeah, who we are.
Yeah. So, okay, that's a lot of information. Okay. Thank you both, Lori and Lucas. You really took off with that, and we are very happy about that, as we wanted this information to come out to the Awakened Collective. Not only that Lucas is beginning to channel or telepathically hear us, but that it is a different group of us on this side. It is an overlap of 3, but it is a different group. So each individual will have their own group that's with them. Most who are joining us on this adventure, who are going to be speaking with us telepathically or channeling with us, will not have collectives per se. You might have a smaller number of us on this side that'll be working with you. It really depends on what your mission is or what your job is here on the earth plane. And if that mission changes and alters, you may have some of us leave and some of us come in. So it can be a little bit of a fluid movement of those of us who are working with you on this side of things. We also wanted to state that it is often the case that those of you that do choose to begin to work with us, and this is pretty much a truth for everybody, let's just say it that way. And this is also a truth for Lucas as well as Lori. There are your own guides who have been with you all your life, are some of those that are us on this side. So what I'm trying to say is, all of you that are doing this with us, that are working to create a telepathic exchange, okay? You have guides, you've had guides all your life with you that are from this side of things, that are from us, that are our friends, let's just say. And those guides will remain, and those guides will, and then there'll be more guides that will come in. We're using the word guides as it's a way for you to understand that there are beings, you could say ascended beings on this side of things that are working with you and have been working with you, and those beings are being joined by new beings with this new way of channeling. So I know that for some of you this will be very comforting to know that those guides that you have with you will continue, of course, to be with you, but they also are working in this form of channeling with you, this form of telepathically speaking. It's just that they're going to be joined by a few more of us on this side of things. We also wanted to get across a few more points that Lucas actually brought out in his conversation a few moments ago about his first experience. And that is that for him, and this will be for a lot of you, not for all of you, but for him, he did not know that the channel was already working or could be working until he asked a question. So that's highly interesting in that it's different than Lori's experience, where she just woke up from a dream state channeling. Okay. Now with Lucas, his channel was already working, but he didn't know that until he asked a question and listened. So it's important to experiment with that from time to time. When you begin working with us and you experience a time of quiet for a period of time of at least 3 weeks, maybe a few weeks more, somewhere between 3 weeks and let's say a month and a half of meditation time or quiet time. And for some of you, you will feel sensations in your body. You might feel sensations in your head. It will vary from person to person. Without a doubt, there will be days when you do not feel any sensations, and then there may be some days you feel sensations, and that will vary in subtlety or strength. Now, this will never go into a place of pain or acute pain. It will be sensations, duller sensations normally, but oftentimes full sensations within your body, within your chakras, within your head, though it will not be an acute pain kind of sensation. So you will have these for a period of time when you are spending time with us. We would like to say daily, but as many times a week as you can, for as long as you can. For we would appreciate like half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, 3 days a week, you know, at least 2 days a week, 3 days a week, up to every day, for a time period of 3 weeks to a month and a half. Now, at this time, after 3 weeks, I would say 3 weeks, you could begin to ask questions and see if you find an answer, okay? And if you do not find an answer, it's okay. Just continue with the meditations, and it will be, and I would just say be once a week check. I wouldn't do it all like constantly. We don't advise constantly doing it like daily, just because that may cause some doubt in if you're constantly asking and you're not hearing anything. So maybe once a week check, and you may be surprised. We would also like to say that without a doubt, this is a unique experience. And for many of you, this will be a new experience, and for some of you, it won't be. Though, if you can look at this experience as being a new adventure, and if you can surrender to the idea that this may be a time where you may not know exactly how it will happen. You may not know exactly how the experience will go. So when you begin to ask questions and you hear an answer, you know, we are hoping that you're able to acknowledge it, and hopefully put some trust behind it that you are indeed hearing something. Now, we know that the major doubt that most everybody feels at one time or another when they are telepathically speaking or channeling is that this is me. And is this me? Is this not me? Is this you? Is it all those questions? So what we would suggest is that you do ask questions, and whatever you hear, you go with, and allow that to just unfold. Now, for some of you, this will be a smooth transition. For some of you, you'll be used to listening to yourself in an interior manner, and when you do hear a voice, you'll be able to recognize that it was not your own. For some of you, you will hear it and be like, what? No, I'm not sure. You know, that might is, maybe it's not, what? We just ask that you suspend your disbelief for a while and listen and go with it. Now, we do also recommend that you somehow record your experience. So the easiest way is to record your experience so you don't have so much work to do. You can take notes if you'd like to work that way, though that does give you extra things to think about. If you're able to just record yourself, and then in that way you can ask the question out loud so it's on the tape, and then speak the words out loud that you are hearing, and just go with that. And maybe in the beginning you just do it for a few minutes at a time. Maybe you daily just do it for a few minutes, 5 minutes daily, and just kind of let that build up a little bit before you make any decisions as to if this is us on this side or if it is yourself. We think that it will not take too many times of recording and listening to come to a place where, wow, this is not necessarily me. It's important to trust what you hear. Now, we also want to say that we're not asking that you blindly trust and forget your analytical mind. And it's completely fine to be in a state of mind that's like, okay, I'm going to listen to this, I'm going to hear it. But you don't have to absolutely put all of your eggs in one basket, if you might say. You don't have to think, okay, this is it, this is the truth of the world. It is, think of us more as friends on this side, less as gods, more as friends. Think of us as being similar to yourself, in only that we have a little bit more experience, and only that we have ascended ourselves many times, and we have a little bit more of a vantage point that can give you a perspective that you are not expecting. So when you get an answer that you will notice is coming from a different perspective, that is when there's a time to say, aha, this is indeed something I am hearing. This is something I'm hearing that is not myself necessarily. Now we know that we all, you all, we all are very creative beings. And yes, it does take an openness and a openness to imagination in order for this to happen. What we mean is the key to allowing something new to come into your life, some new information to come into your life, particularly in this manner where you are beginning to telepathically speak with us, does need an open track of imagination, because that is the track that we're going to come upon. It doesn't mean that, oh, this is just my imagination, which I know many of you have heard upon the earth plane. This is just my imagination, and you discount it. We would say that imagination is it's almost like a railroad track, and it's the train that the information is going to come on. The train the information is going to come on is imagination, is the creative spirit. So open your heart to that, and then when you do hear something, give it some time. If you may be like, whoa, right away, you know that's not you, and that's us on this side, and you're very excited. Or you may be like, I'm not sure. It's okay. Either record it or have recorded it before you began, before you started, or write down what you have heard and let it sit. Lori Deer has spoken of several times how when she's in the act of channeling, in fact, she tells Lucas every time they make a video that when she's in the act of channeling, it can be challenging because it feels like she's almost just talking, it's herself talking. Now, if it's just a couple moments after they finish the video, after they finish filming, she will have a detachment from it, a detachment from that active experience, and she will have an understanding that as time goes on, the moments away from after the video is completed, that yes, this is not herself, not only herself, let's put it that way. So we would like our final words to be that we hope you all are taking heart, and we hope you are excited. We hope you are interested and ever more curious about this experience. This will be a different experience for all of you, and it's an intimate experience for the guides that you are working with and the ones that will come in and work with you with your guides you have now. Right? So it's going to be not, your guides are going to stay. The ones you've always had are going to stay. You're going to have more come in, and then you're going to begin to telepathically speak with us, with them on this side. This is going to be different for everybody. It's an exciting experience. It's also an intimate experience. So what we mean by that is it's unique to who you are and who these individual beings are that you are speaking with. Okay, it's not like it's a generic stamp of a certain kind of interaction, because you all are unique. You are all individuals, and the beings that you will be speaking with, us on this side of things, are also unique individual beings. So it'll be a unique experience for each individual person. We would, as well as Lori and Lucas would, like to hear any experiences you're having, and we could always, and questions, if you have questions, we can share those on another, we can share those on another future video. We send you great love. We send you great hope. We send you so much light. The Arcturians, the Pleiadians, the Council of Light, and the Council of Nine, with Xanadu, adieu and adieu. So you got to star today too.
Yeah,
You had
I had a big part today.
That was good.
Thanks.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay.
Cool.